Hello, YouTube. How's it going, everyone? Good morning or good afternoon. It's actually 3 p.m. Good morning if you're on the West Coast. My name is Gene Park, and welcome to the Washington Post Launcher Live. And to prove to you that that we are actually live, I'm gonna look at the chat right here. Pablo Naruto in the chat says, "Not a WAPO notification I was expecting to get. LOL." I get it, Pablo. I get it. We're covering video games now. And that's why we're here. Well, we want to introduce ourselves and we'll let you know that we're going to be talking a lot about games, and we have a really, really special show here. First of all, before I get to introducing my colleagues, we will have Briana White of YouTube fame, of Twitch fame, and most recently of Final Fantasy VII Remake fame. She is the voice of Aerith Gainsborough. A super high pressure role for her to land. An iconic character, and like I think I called her like Disney Princess Charm. She's really the closest thing that we have in video games to like a classic like Disney princess, besides like I guess Princess Zelda. So I'm so excited to talk to Briana. We have a lot to talk about, but I want to introduce my friends here. Hello, Elise and Mikhail. How's it going, guys?
Hey, it's going good. So excited.
Yeah. So
big moment for us.
Yeah, I know. We got a huge get for our first day. Elise, so we started, just to introduce ourselves, we started at Launcher in October, where basically we hired Elise and Mikhail, and Elise joins us from Game Informer, where she was an associate editor and reporter for years and years and years. Very experienced game journalist. And Mikhail joins us from Atlantic. So not a lot of games coverage here, but that's why we're here. We're here to fix that. So
we don't talk about my past.
Yeah. We're gonna talk real quick about one news item, a story that I worked on over the past week. But real quick for the chat, we also want to ask you, and we're gonna ask Elise and Mikhail and Briana. Question of the day: which Final Fantasy character would you want to be quarantined with? It doesn't have to be within the remake. It doesn't have to be the spin-offs or anything like that. I think Elise has a really, really good answer. But that's what we're going to be talking about later by the end of Briana's section. And hopefully we can hear Briana's answer. But first, let's... the chat is giving a shout out to your mustache, Mikhail.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Does your mustache give a shout out back to the chat?
Let's see if I can coax something out of it. No, there's nothing coming. There's full on. No, I got nothing.
Oh, well.
Someday.
Yeah.
We're waiting for that fateful day.
How long did it take you to grow that before we move on to an actually important story?
I have completely lost track of time. I couldn't tell you just since the last time I did a full shave, which. Knowing how like quickly I grew facial hair was like maybe 2 months ago. So this embarrassing thing, yeah, it's taken a lot of work, a lot of challenges along the way, but I think we're making big progress. I'm going for the Henry Cavill in Mission Impossible look.
The one that just kind of appears out of nowhere, right? Yeah. Well, it was very much quarantine inspired, I could tell. But speaking of being inspired by the quarantine, I had a story earlier this week about the, was it this week or last week? It was last week, actually. Last week, Friday. Speaking of time not being like a real thing, last Friday, I published a piece on the Metaverse and how Fortnite by Epic Games has been really, really trying really hard and really being open about it to try and build what is essentially the next version of the internet. And just on Monday or Tuesday, just on Monday, we got like another building block where Epic Games announced that they were going to have a Travis Scott world tour within Fortnite that's apparently starting tomorrow. So I don't know, what did you guys think of the story, basically? What did you think of my story?
Of your story. Okay, yeah. I don't know if you meant Travis Scott or your story as a whole.
Yeah.
I think it's a really fascinating topic, one that we've been talking about for a long time. Is looking at digital worlds, and if they can eventually be a metaverse, kind of this like space, in this digital space where you can kind of coexist in, sort of like in Ready Player One, where they use the VR headsets to enter the Oasis. So I think kind of the biggest question I have for you, Gene, is why specifically Fortnite? You know, because this has been a topic that people have been talking about for a long time. Like you look at Second Life, you look at different MMOs, and Roblox as well. You know, so what do you think makes Fortnite the best fit for that?
Yeah, one of the biggest criticisms, and one that I absolutely acknowledge, is that a lot of people were like, well, what about Second Life, right? And I think, Mikhail, you mentioned this too recently to me, that The Atlantic had a really nice long feature piece about Second Life, how people are still there. So for people who don't know, Second Life was this like Sims-like virtual reality game where you did have your own like economy, and your own like living space, and people were able to have jobs, and that's what people in that Atlantic piece were able to do, basically having like jobs and everything. I think the difference between like something like Second Life and Fortnite is that it really just comes down to scale. Second Life really wasn't able to penetrate the mainstream mindset, other than like a few magazine features or like Time magazine cover that we got like back in like 2007 or something, you know. But like it wasn't something that like millions of people were being drawn to. Whereas in Fortnite, they had a DJ Marshmello concert last year, and 10 million people logged on just to watch that concert. This fake DJ concert that lasted for an hour. So it'll be really, really interesting to see the metrics of what Travis Scott is able to pull in, because Travis Scott is just like a huge like star. So, Mikhail, what's up?
Well, one of the distinctions you drew in your piece, which I found really interesting, was that you mentioned that the benefit, the advantage that Fortnite has right now is that, it's one of the very few places, in fact, one of maybe the only places where you can have all of these IPs coexisting, all of these intellectual properties, where you have, John Wick smashing the Stranger Things monster with a pickaxe, and you have Emperor Palpatine and J.J. Abrams, and everyone loves J.J. Abrams. We all love J.J. Abrams. But to me, one of my like early concerns about that approach was that it started to take on the tenor of something like Facebook, which I don't want to speak for everyone in the chat, but I personally do not really love going on Facebook anymore. It feels very bloated. It feels like too much stuff was put into there and just kind of forced into this one otherwise pretty simple app. And Fortnite is starting to kind of cross that threshold for me of like, it's a bit too bloated. There's too much stuff going on in there. And to go back to the Second Life example, in that Second Life story, you saw people living out second lives, no pun intended, that were wholesome and happy. And I think there was an example of a mother who was living with chronic illness who was able to live out this kind of very glamorous life in Second Life, unburdened from the stresses of real life. Fortnite, the alternative that it's offering is like, hey, you get to hang out with all of your favorite brands. And I'm wondering if that is, in your view, is that like a sustainable ground from which to build a new internet? Or are people really looking for something closer to Second Life? Or even like Animal Crossing is in the conversation right now. It's like, I get to go outside and have a nice time, and it's not all brands. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, well, my piece was purely speculative, right? Especially since I think it's important to note that the concept of the metaverse is virtual reality, where we're all just shopping and working within the space, online and in a game, is years and likely decades away, right? So in terms of like whether like I think your instinct is right in terms of like how bloated it's becoming. Like it's really hard to keep track of changes of just what's happening in the meta of Fortnite, the game itself, versus like the lifestyle that they're trying to promote or something, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really a key question that I think Epic Games needs to answer for themselves. Wall Street Journal just reported that they just had another round of funding that increased the Epic Games' valuation to $15 billion. You're making a lot of investments in motion capture, facial capture. Fortnite is run by Unreal Engine, which is powering backgrounds of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus and a lot of other Hollywood movies. So it almost feels like that they're kind of trying to fill that out too, because Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic Games, is like openly like antagonistic against Facebook and Google, right? So he clearly doesn't seem to think that the way they're doing it is the right way, and he obviously prefers it his way. What that looks like is still really unsure. And so far, all we really kind of seen are these big plays for brands, right? My friend Meg, who's the creator of this indie game, the wonderful indie game called Skatebird, she quote tweeted she tweeted my article and says like, if that's the future where I can see grandma pretending to be Emperor Palpatine, just flossing on whatever, then I don't want to be a part of it. And I totally get that sentiment, you know.
Oh gosh, no, I get that too. I haven't gotten into Fortnite a whole lot, and it doesn't really grab me in the same way that say Animal Crossing does. But looking at these games, particularly Fortnite, they have a payment model that's very much based on microtransactions, which has gotten a lot of criticism for being predatory at times. So I wonder, looking forward, do you think that is something that would change, that would adapt as that kind of scope of the metaverse becomes more realistic?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I think with Fortnite, it's free to play, so that it's like Facebook in a way again, right? I mean, like
Right.
it's like the classic quote: "This website is free," right? Like you log into Fortnite, you're like, "Oh my God, this video game is free, and I could just play for years and years." Um, it almost seems like that they're almost like even trying to depend on like kind of like a microtransaction model where they might depend on the quote unquote whales, the few customers, which includes myself, to be quite honest, who spend a lot of money buying these skins and buying these customizations. So again, like I really do think that a lot of these things will just have to be worked out. Mikhail, to your point, I think Second Life being like relaxing everything, like it kind of reminds me of like the migration to Facebook groups, which is still within Facebook, right?
Yeah.
But like everyone is looking to Facebook groups to be like, oh, I just want to see my chunky cat, or I just want to see something a little bit more positive, or I just want to be among my friend group or people with niche interests. So I think a lot of these questions will also have to be answered, but in the way we shake out the internet and the kind of internet that we want. Because I guess part of the reason why I wanted to do the story was to kind of like signal like a red flag, saying like, hey, there's all these issues that are happening with the internet, including the media. The media has been very much destroyed by what the internet has done, and so many other business models have been disrupted, and we still haven't figured that out. And then yet we're already talking about how to have like a virtual reality. So it's interesting.
I think the thing you kind of rightfully hit on just now is that Facebook again and kind of Silicon Valley as a whole, they're very instructive examples here of a lot of times these creators set out to start one thing. Facebook was going to be this like depending on who you ask, a way of rating classmates or a way of communicating with classmates, and then it became this massive social network. I think Uber, before it was Uber, was like 10 other things. And similarly, you see this exact trajectory with Fortnite, where it starts as a base building Minecraft ripoff, becomes a battle royale PUBG knockoff, and is now trying to venture into this broader territory, just doing feature creep. The question that kind of stands out for me is, how did this get on your radar at all? Like when I look at Fortnite, at least, I don't ever think this is the next internet. So what prompted you to look into this? What led you down this train of thought?
Sure. I pitched a story, and I'm sure you remember when I pitched the story. It was definitely started by Matthew Ball and his essay, but I had already like it clicked with me, his essay, because I had already been thinking about Fortnite as a possible metaverse because of all these wacky events just happening. And then like it really happened when like one of these events were happening, one of the season finales, and I found myself rushing home from a party to come home and experience this event. And my Uber was taking too long. If the chat wants to roast me about sounding like a world person, like having all these problems or whatever. I'm in my Uber and I'm like, I can't log into Fortnite, and then so I was able to like log into Fortnite on my phone and then watch what was going on. And I like that experience, the way I lived through that, the fact that I needed to log into this thing to see something, kind of clicked for me, where I was just like, they're doing something really interesting here, and it's not new, right? Like I think it's really important to let people know that this is not new. Where like Ultima Online back in the 90s, that they had like a revolt against the game's creator, Lord British, and and that just happened out of nowhere. So these things will happen. I think what was really important, and I think to your point, Mikhail, is that like outside of these branded things, there needs to be more spontaneity happening. And I think Epic Games does seem to understand that. So we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see what happens with Travis Scott tomorrow. I'm very excited. I'm personally a huge fan of Travis Scott. I know, Mikhail, that you listening to Sicko Mode on repeat. So,
Yeah, big sicko mode head over here.
big Sicko Mode fan. I personally enjoy Mo Bamba, but just letting you know.
Oh my god.
But Mikhail, we're gonna say goodbye to you for a quick second because we have a really, really special guest. It's Briana White. She is the voice actress for Aerith Gainsborough in Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I would not call her an overnight sensation by any means, because from what I can tell, hey Brianna, how's it going?
Hi. It made me leave and then come back. So
Yeah.
It's a weird system.
hi everyone.
How's it going? Hi.
How are you?
So I was saying that like it doesn't seem like that you are the kind of person that's really been an overnight sensation, because you've really been hustling hard over the years, right? Like
That's very
streaming,
true.
putting on YouTube. Like I remember when you got merch like 2-3 years ago, and that was like a huge deal, right?
Wait a minute. You've been following me for that long?
Well, I mean, so I watch a lot of YouTubers, so that's why I was like, oh my god, like she got that role, so like that was pretty amazing. So.
That makes me so happy. Thank you.
Well, let's go through some questions. You've been super busy because I see even on your channel, like you are like interviewing other creators and everything. So like you were kind of like a host yourself, which is amazing. But walk us through how you landed the role first. How did you get connected with Square Enix, and how did you even prepare for such a iconic role? These are all
that's a
questions
great
I'm sure you've been
question.
answering a lot, but yeah, we'd love to hear the story.
So I have always wanted to be an actress, and all my background is in acting proper. None of my background is in voice acting at all. When I first, started working in LA, I sat down at a meeting with my agents and I said, I just want to work. I'm not picky. I know some actors are, very artistic and they really only care about the deep art of Stanislavski or whatever. I know they only want to act in dramatic whatevers. I was not like that. I said, I'll do it all. Sign me up. I'll do YouTube. I'll do voice acting. I'll do hand modeling, like whatever it takes. I'm just here to work and make a living doing my dream job. And I said, let's talk about voice acting. And my agent said, well, what can you do? And I said, well, I have a voice. And she was like, well, everyone wants to do voice acting, Brianna. That doesn't make you special. So I did not do voice acting. She wouldn't represent, well, they didn't exactly have a voice acting division, and I didn't pursue it any further after that. I thought, well, that's it. She's right. So I didn't have a voiceover agent. I didn't have a voiceover demo, but casting found me through my theatrical agent, and my IMDb page basically was the story I was told. I thought for sure they had seen my YouTube videos or something.
Yeah.
Right.
You would
and
think.
they hadn't.
That's
Wow.
wild.
I know.
Oh my God.
Had nothing to do with the fact that I played video games, that I was a gamer, and I was just on the roster for my agency. My agent didn't even submit me for this role.
Wow.
That is incredible.
I know.
So what has it been like for you? You've been streaming for a long time now. You have a huge following, especially on YouTube. You've got 140,000 just on YouTube.
Did we already hit 140? Did that happen last night?
I don't know if it happened last night.
Was that just an estimation? Last I checked, it was at 137 or something.
I saw this
Holy
morning
moly.
140K. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for breaking that breaking news to me.
There you go. Yeah, you heard it here first. Yeah, 140,000 right there. Yeah.
Wow, how
That's amazing.
exciting. Thanks
So-
everyone who subscribed.
So what's it been like for you, being a fan of Final Fantasy and streaming a wide variety of games and then going to voice acting? What has that transition been like?
I would say that the most interesting way that it has helped me being a gamer is that having never voice acted, especially in a video game, and you can voice act in, say, commercials and still not be able to voice act in video games. Or you could voice act in video games yet still not know how to dub, because they're just completely different strategies. And for English voice acting for Final Fantasy VII, it's all of the above. So it's a really tricky technical process, and I did struggle through it, of course, but during the audition, the one thing that I could nail so easily was video game battle cries, because I'd played so many video games. I knew exactly what they should sound like. I had a whole mental catalog of battle cries from all my times playing video games.
Yeah.
That I could just imitate them on the spot, no problem.
That, right? Like your classic Link yelps, right?
Yes, and
Yeah.
it definitely came exactly from Link. That is the extent of my battle cry knowledge. Yeah, smash and pop.
What is your favorite? What is the best battle cry you can do? And can you do it for us right now?
Oh no! Oh, I hate feeling put on the spot. Okay,
Oh,
hold on. Wait a minute. Should I do a Link set? Because they come in sets. Okay.
You should do whatever's easiest. But if Link
Whatever's
it sounds like you've been practicing Link for some
Okay,
time.
hold on. I gotta back up. I don't want to blow out the mic. Hold on. And you gotta physicalize it too. It's always, they tell you to physicalize it. So it's a ha! Ha! Ah!
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's my Link version. He's a little more nasally than Aerith.
Yeah. One of my favorite clips in your little clip reel was when you react to Beetle going, "Yay!"
Oh my goodness.
Like, why? Like, I love Beetle and the way he talks. It's like, thank you. So it's like, I just love that guy.
He's so strange. I don't know who that voice actor is, but I love that person.
Yeah.
I love and appreciate them and imitate them to the joy of all of my people who watch my clips. Yeah. Yeah.
So how did they respond once they saw that you were able to get all the grunts and yelps right? They were like,
their first
she's
response,
got it. You're the one. She's the one. Like in what's that movie? Oh God, I'm already forgetting the movie.
I don't know what it is. But their first response was, "Are you sure you haven't done this before?" And I was like, "I promise, I just play a lot of video games." And they were like, that doesn't help most people. And I was like, well, clearly I'm not most people. Yeah, they couldn't believe it. And then, we kind of set that aside because that was just the audition. And then I found out I booked it for whatever reason they liked about me specifically. I'm sure it wasn't just the battle grunts.
Yeah.
But when we finally got to actually record them for real, whether it be for the trailers or the actual game, it was so easy. It was so quick every time. It was so fun. Those were the sessions I got to have the most fun and freedom, because you could just make random sounds. You're engaging your lungs and your diaphragm. Your whole body's engaged, and you're wrecked by the end of it. And sometimes you spit out a noise that is so strange, and you don't know where it came from. And everyone is just like, that is a ridiculous sound. Let's play that back at 10 times speed. Let's play that back at super high volume. And we just have a laughing fest. It was so, so fun.
Chat is losing their mind over your Link impression. So I think I one person say breathe for the next Zelda game, which would be amazing. If like,
there you go.
Dude, if they introduce voice acting in Zelda and you land that role too, like,
there was voice acting in Breath of the Wild, actually.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And Zelda was voice acted. I don't know if
forgot.
Link was still, but Zelda definitely was. and she has a beautiful British voice. So a little bit different direction than this American gal here, but it would be a dream for sure.
Yeah, so Aerith was your first role? Holy crap. I can say crap on YouTube, right? That's fine. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, I played through the game, I reviewed it. Your voice acting like really brought like an entirely new layer to that the original simply couldn't get with text. There's a playfulness and innocence to the tonality and inflections. Really drove home like what a down to earth like city girl that Erath was, right? She was street smart, she was cool. And like when Erath teases Clouds, only for him to tease back, and then like Erath goes like so petty, like
Yes.
little things like that. And her fishing for compliments. Like, did you make those decisions yourself consciously, or were there other quirks to your performance that you intentionally brought to the role?
No, I would say that because English for Final Fantasy VII Remake is technically a localization, we didn't get a lot of freedom to make a lot of choices. A lot of times it was stick to the script, stick to the Japanese interpretation, or a purposeful change that the writers and the directors came to. So, I would come into the booth and I would do my best based on the script that I had in front of me, and that was from my acting background. I did what I could, and I wish I could take all the credit, trust me, but I can only take part of it because there were so many people involved in making Aerith playful, because it's not just in her voice, it's in the script as well.
The animation
it's
too.
in the direction as well, because when I go in, I try it 3 different ways at least, and sometimes more. So the challenge is really getting the emotion into the line when it has to also be so technically accurate. That's really the hard part, and that I can take full credit for. So thank you for that.
Yeah, like I really felt like every line, like when she would say so is that a compliment? Like like you can really feel like that playfulness and that connection that she's trying to like open up Cloud, which is such a beautiful thing that you don't really see in the original game, and then you hear. So it's just wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Also, I want to talk about something that you tweeted about, and it was a viral moment, and I'm sure you talked about this moment a lot. You had a touching, emotional moment recently when you first played Final Fantasy VII Remake, and you first encountered Aerith for the first time, and you kind of choked up. And I think we're gonna play a clip.
Oh, cool!
Quick, just so we can show people. Let me know if let me see if
seems to be playing.
Okay. Oh, so there's no sound. Okay, so we're just showing the clip and then there's you. So
that's fine.
Yeah,
you'll just
that's
get
fine.
To see
So
me cry.
yeah,
it's
so
great.
so what was going to what was going through your mind right there when you first saw that? This was the first time you were basically playing the game, right?
Yes. So this is actually, I played the demo back at E3 2019, and Aerith wasn't in the demo. So I hadn't played Aerith in the game at all. I had watched trailers that she'd been in, and she'd been in a lot of trailers, and I reacted to those and put that on my YouTube channel, which was a lot of fun. And the truth is, I cried every time. I'm a crier, but there's also something so different about actually playing it yourself. And I think that the team here can appreciate the idea that because you are the player, there's a level of immersion and interactiveness that keys you in a little bit more than just watching a cinematic trailer. So even though I had seen some of these lines in the trailer, it was still completely different playing it. And it was just such a moment of, wow, we worked so hard for so long. We're finally here, and it's beautifully done. So from the polish on the lines, which there's a lot, trust me, my voice is not perfect. There's a lot of polish that went into those lines. Thank you, audio techs. And then of course the sound mixing with, the screen, the big flower pops up big on the screen, and then Aerith's theme kicks in. Those kind of choices were so well done, well crafted, just emotional times a billion. And I felt it and I showed it. And I'm really glad that I was able to share that experience with other people, because I feel like a lot of other people felt the same way.
Yeah, when I saw that, it just felt like all the anxiety was kind of like leaving your body, like, you know, like it was
That
like,
too.
oh, I did it, you know, like the game is here, it's real, like, you know.
It was a moment where I have an inner critic, like all of us do. I don't have a problem listening to myself or watching myself like a lot of people do, because I've just done it for so long. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been on theater, I've been on camera. I consider it a part of my process, is being able to look and say, well, I can sense that I'm inauthentic in that moment. How do I reverse that and change it for the next take? So I'm good at that. But even still, there were a few moments right at the beginning there where I was like, oh, I hated recording that. Oh, it doesn't sound like I would have wanted it to sound. It sounds a little bit too much like me, or a little bit not enough like her. And all of that was swept into the undercurrent and out to sea, because this larger moment was happening, and that was wonderful.
That's awesome.
It must have been amazing too. Like it was previously this voiceless game, you know, and seeing it kind of come to life in that way, not just through your hard work, but also through those, you know, that voice acting that you did. That must have been really something.
Oh, of course, because I'm still in the middle of my Final Fantasy VII original playthrough, and I had gotten to this scene. So I'm experiencing this scene having recorded it, watched the trailer, played the original game, and now playing Remake. So what's fascinating about it is those 4 realities are all existing at the same time in this moment.
Huh, it's almost like
Wild.
converging timelines.
Huh.
Won't say anything,
Can't
but just
speak to that at all.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you know it.
But it sounds like converging timelines here. I don't know. Aerith, what are you really up to, Aerith?
I can't answer that. And I wouldn't, even if I could.
Yeah.
I don't even know. They
Yeah.
don't tell me anything.
I figured you wouldn't know. But I guess that's like another good question. Like, how much context did you know in terms of like what were you voicing? Like were you able to walk through the scenes, or was it just lines that you were throwing out with direction?
We got a huge amount of context, and a lot of people seem to be a little bit concerned over the fact that we didn't get the whole script ahead of time. And that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And part of that is because it's still changing, it's still in the works. And part of that is to avoid leaks, because as good as I am about keeping secrets, things happen, accidents happen. And if I'm really good about it, maybe the person next to me isn't. I don't know. So they do that for a lot of reasons, but we get our material for the day and we take a look sometimes ahead of time as far as like what we're working on that day. And we always will go back and re-listen to the full session to make sure that everything fits properly. There are conversations happening between me and the writers and the directors, all making sure that the emotion for this line, this one line out of hundreds, fits in the larger narrative. There's no higher priority in that room than that. And so I'll get whatever context I need to make sure that that happens.
I'm curious, when you say, you had huge context, did that also, did that incorporate part 2 as well? Like, did they give you context for that?
No.
Okay.
And I think there are reasons for that beyond avoiding leaks as well. Like some of the reasons that we talked about already are definitely a factor, whether things are going to change, whether we want to avoid leaks. But there are also things as far as in an acting moment, the stronger choice is almost always the character just being present in that moment. And so we don't always talk about the larger implications of a scene, because oftentimes all that matters is the character reacting to what's in front of them. and making sure that is portrayed. And that is something on a theoretical level that's important for the realisticness of the character, but that's also important for the player, so that the player can live that moment and not have implications thrown at them that they don't necessarily need at that moment, or that the director doesn't want at that time. So it's all part of crafting a larger thing, a larger piece of art. And it's done, in my opinion, very artfully in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Shifting back to part 2, have you started working already? Do you know when you're going to start work? We're not going to push too much about what Remake 2 Part 2 looks like.
You're asking me all the questions I can't answer.
Okay,
Come on,
all right,
guys. Give me an easy one.
Yeah.
Well, we have a question from the chat, actually.
Ooh, hit me. I love chat questions.
Joe Gradowski asks if you have actually, let me pull this up properly. If you have any advice for up and coming actors, voice actors trying to get into the business.
Sure. If I can do it, you can do it. That's my advice.
Great.
For all intents and purposes, I should not be here. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a demo. I had only experience in commercial classes in college. Truly, if I can do it, you can do it. Follow your dreams. Keep pushing, stack the deck in your favor. There's lots of other advice out there as far as, don't do it if you don't really love it, because it's really competitive and it's really hard. All that's true as well. Learn your audio, get a good mic. Sure, all that's true. But at the end of the day, if it's meant to be, you'll find a way. I really believe that.
You've definitely showed that just through hustle, you're able to get through, which is incredible.
Yeah, you have so many different types of content, like you're reporting, you're like hosting, you're acting, you're in commercials, like it really just seemed to hold true, like what you said earlier. Like
that's
just
right.
Let me
I just
work,
like to work. All I've ever wanted. I don't have a lot of expectations. I have goals and dreams, of course, but I'm not picky. I just want to do a living or make a living doing what I love. That is the phrase that has driven me since I was a kid. I always felt when I was doing work that wasn't aligned with my passion. I've worked in restaurants, I've worked for lawyers, I've folded clothes in retail. I've done a lot of work that isn't aligned with my passion. And every time I do, I can just feel my soul drifting away. And so for me, there's nothing else for me than just making a living doing what I love. It doesn't even have to be a big living. I'm really happy being comfortable where I am. But that's driven me and that's worked out so far.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's what happens to a lot of us, with the video game business. It attracts passionate people, you know. Okay, so another question from the chat from Ode Pella, who asks how long the entire recording process was. Was it days, months, etc.?
Well, I'll tell you, it felt like a lifetime. And I can't say exactly how long, but it was many, many hours of not only recording things once, but if things didn't fit together in the larger puzzle, we do it again. And that's how important this project was to get right. I mean, we knew that. We put the hours in to make sure that it would be done right.
We have another question from Harris XU1. Did you do sessions with other actors? I know you're streaming with John Bentley, the voice of Barrett, the wonderful voice of Barrett, playing the original game. But were you able to interact and meet with the other cast and record together as an ensemble, right?
Right. So we didn't record together. And part of that is because of how technical the process is. It just doesn't make sense for more than one person to be in the room. And again, they gave us all the context that we needed. And so we didn't really need the other person to be there. I know that in the game, it looks and feels, and I've gotten some comments that, wow, you must have rehearsed that ahead of time with Cody. The chemistry in that scene is so intense. No. that is a testament to the director making sure all the right choices were there. It's the audio techs putting the lines with just enough space between them to make sure that it sounds like a proper sassy, snappy retort. I mean, there's so many things that go into it. And having the other actors in the room is not actually necessary. And I have to appreciate the craft of that.
Yeah, I asked that, and that's such a good question. I'm glad someone asked that, because like that, it does feel like that you guys were able to have some chemistry. Cody, for people who don't know, is the voice of Cloud, who also did a astounding job for a character that's supposed to not emote, right?
It's true.
But like I knew we were in for something special when Jesse says, "Okay, that was pretty cool," and then Cloud does that little smile. And it's like, man, that's all he ever wanted was like affirmation, like to be cool, you know? And then like they got that in there.
Yes, one of Cloud's core characteristics is that he's trying to be cool as a cucumber. And Cody as a person, from the experiences that I've had with him, albeit limited, he is that. He is so cool. Like he just has that vibe of like, he's so chill.
Yeah.
So I think that must have been, I'm guessing, the easy part for him. And just being able to see the part where Cloud's emotions sneak through is so beautiful, because he is that like facade stonewall character. And then for him to be able to sneak past that ever so slightly, gradually, is just artfully done, truthfully.
Yeah, which is why like that chemistry between you and Cody, like you're able to like break him down and like make him open up more, which is again something you didn't see in the original, which is so wonderful. One important question from the chat also from Voki Kivo: did you meet Final Fantasy VII director and original designer Tetsuya Nomura?
I did not.
Oh,
wow. I haven't met any of the Japanese team, and that's not for lack of wanting. It's just I don't speak Japanese.
Yeah, it's a little hard to travel now too. So
and there's something to that as well. Yeah, I would say that the team working on this, however big you think it is, it's huge. I mean, it's much bigger. So communication was something that was super, super vital. And I was just communicating with, my point person and the director, and they were then communicating with the team, who was then communicating with another team and then another team, all the way through to make sure. So if it seems like we were all connected in that way, it's because that communication was A+.
We'll wind down with a few more fun questions. Describe Erath in as few words as possible. How would you describe Erath as a person?
All I need is one word: hope.
Hope. There you go.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true. You must have a lot of fans now. Obviously you're not going to conventions or anything like that, but what has the response been so far for you?
The response has been overwhelming, truly.
And you must have been nervous too, because this is a character that everyone loves, right? So.
Oh yes,
big shoes to fill for sure.
Yeah, I really thought people were going. There have been many voices of Erath, and I think it's important for me to acknowledge, Mandy Moore, Mina Suvari, and Andrea Bowen, who all do wonderful versions of Erath. I listened to them. I tried to honor them with my version of Erath. And I really thought that there would be a ton of people who thought, this isn't my Erath. I love Andrea Bowen so much more. And if that's the case, here's what I love. They're not coming to tell me that. And that's really nice. If they prefer another voice actress as Erath, that's wonderful for them. But they haven't been coming to me with anger. And that is just so pleasing to my heart.
Miraculous in this day and age.
Truly. Yes. I mean, it feels like the internet's grown up a little bit.
Yeah.
I love it. I really haven't been getting a ton of vitriol. I haven't really gotten any. And I love that. There are a few people, and this one always gets me a little bit, so I shouldn't even share it. But there are a few people on my YouTube channel who will say, why did they just cast some random YouTuber as an iconic role? And to that, I would respond, well, I'm not just a random YouTuber. I've been acting for my whole life. But okay.
Yeah, and also apparently, as we cemented at the beginning, it was not your YouTube channel that even got you anything, which was incredible.
Exactly. They didn't scroll through YouTube looking for people to join the cast. That's not at all what happened. They were looking for serious actors and they got one who just happens to have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, no YouTuber privilege here, so that's good.
That's right.
Yeah. Two more quick questions. If you were, which character would be your dream role? Now that things have opened up, and if you were able to just land whoever.
In any iteration of in media, in video games, in Final Fantasy,
literally any.
Let's stick with video games. But
any
yeah,
video game. Yeah.
Okay, so I am huge fans of the Zelda series. So we've already talked about the fact that I would love Zelda. So I feel like answering that again is kind of cheating. So I'll give you another one. I love the character of Elena from Uncharted. She has been one of my favorite characters for a really long time.
Yeah.
I love just how grounded and intelligent she is and is a perfect foil to Nathan Drake's nonsense. I just love their relationship, and being able to see what it became in Uncharted 4 was like a deep in my heart gamer love experience.
It was one of the highlights.
I love the part where they're sitting on the couch together and playing.
Oh yeah, what were they playing again?
They were playing Crash Bandicoot.
They were playing Crash Bandicoot. Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy. I love that.
I think you're right. She's such a great foil to him. And that tension that grows between them through the whole game, and the ups and downs they go through, it's very well done. So.
It's so good.
Yeah. But you will also make a really good Zelda. So Breath of the Wild 2 or 3.
Well, look, you landed a really big iconic role, so here's hoping that this is just the start to more opportunities for you.
Hey, I also hope that. But of course, there's always the concern that now my voice is so iconic as Aerith that I'll be pigeonholed into that role or that type forever. I hope that's not the case, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, I think it just goes to show how well you did. So, and I think that also speaks to how the lack of negative feedback.
Yeah.
I think I spend a lot of time on the internet, especially these days, right? And everyone seems to love your work.
Thank you.
Just reporting that. Last question: if you were going to be quarantined with a Final Fantasy character, who would it be? It could be within the Final Fantasy series.
If I was going to be quarantined.
Yeah, if you're going to be quarantined with one roommate from the Final Fantasy cast, who would your roommate be?
So I need it to be someone who's not super annoying.
Yeah, there's a lot of annoying characters in Final Fantasy.
So Urianger from 14 is out. And I need it to be someone who can chill and give me my personal space when I need it.
Elise, I think you have a good one. I'm wondering if you should pop in and help Briana out with this one.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
This one is actually, now that I think about it, super easy. It's gotta be Tifa. Because she is a bartender and a cook.
She can cook. She can make you eggs and chips, right?
And she's pretty chill.
Yeah.
She's extremely chill. She she can make you drinks. I mean, that is the perfect person to choose.
It's like having a friend that's like your mom, and they just cook for you.
Yeah, I mean, to get along with.
Yeah. Tifa's my quarantine gal.
Awesome.
Here we go.
Elise, why don't you just say yours right now, because I think Briana would like it actually.
So the one I chose was Ignis from Final Fantasy 15, and it's the same kind of idea. That's
yes.
Oh my god.
Cooking.
Cooking, exactly. Savory foods. Just make me everything.
Oh man, glisten on his meals.
No, and he also mentioned that he'll drive you everywhere. He's your personal Uber driver too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I did mention, black convertible will drive me around. So
that's such a good point.
Take me to the grocery store, where whatever's open during this quarantine.
I love that. Yeah. But he might get a little bit, heady sometimes, as far as he's probably going to be a little bit too, you should be doing this with your time. Whereas
in
Tifa won't.
Personality, I'm not sure how we would jive, but I was thinking how useful he is, he would be
Yes.
perfect. But you know, he's pretty smart. So
That would be funny though. He might get annoying because we would be like, yes, Ignis, we know you came up with a new recipe. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
Ignis. I get
Yeah.
it.
Well, Brianna, thank you so much. I had so much fun. We had so much fun talking to you.
Thanks
And
for having me. This was wonderful.
yeah, it's so great
Thank
to get
you.
to know you. And Chad, I really hope you guys enjoyed chatting with Brianna. Brianna, where can people who don't know, who can't find you, where can they find you? I believe that a lot of folks in the chat know where you are, but just for VOD purposes, where can we find you?
Sure. So since we're mostly on YouTube for now, my YouTube channel is Strange Rebel Gaming. So it's youtube.com/Strange Rebel Gaming. I'll also pop into the chat so you can just click my name. It'll be quick and easy for you. I can be found on Twitter and Instagram at The Strange Rebel, as well as on Twitch, where I live stream all of my playthroughs, and then eventually they do end up cut and edited onto YouTube. So I hope to see you there.
Awesome. Well, she's super entertaining. I definitely recommend a follow. So give her a follow. But
Thank
Brianna,
you.
again, thank you so much for your time.
My
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
Thanks for having me. Enjoy the rest of your show.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wow, that was cool.
awesome.
That was
really
cool. I'm
I love that.
starstruck. Unfortunately, we have to bring Mikhail back. So, there's Mikhail.
Mikhail and his mustache.
Oh, man.
Hi everyone.
Hey.
And I was monitoring the chat there, and everyone was begging for me to come back.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting that you would bring me back on sooner, given the kind of the uproar in the chat box. There were just like constant queries of like, "Where's Mustache Guy? Where's Mikhail? Where's the cool dude from before?"
Mustache guy, not to be confused with Mario.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like this isn't. I guess I am kind of rocking the Luigi look right now. I feel like I'm more the dad from Inside Out right now, but we'll see where this takes me. This is a journey, and I'm ready to explore it, see where it goes. We'll see.
You do look very Luigi-like. That's interesting. Yeah.
Everyone's always saying,
and he's small. It's actually perfect.
Yeah.
True.
Well, anyways, Mikhail, who would you be quarantining with in the Final Fantasy verse?
Oh God, I was a baby when Final Fantasy VII came out. I like full on have no idea. I am not a devotee of the franchise. I feel like I'm going to need your help on this because
what kind of roommate are you looking forward to? We know you want a utilitarian, so.
I mean, we could also just expand it to any video game character that you want.
Oh well, okay, sure, Mikhail. A video game character, who would you be quarantining with? Cooking Mama?
Oh God. This is some question.
It's all at Bitcoin, so you know, like her futures are secured.
What's such a bummer is like I'm trying to think. Have you ever had those moments where like somebody asks you a question and you should have an answer, but like the only thing that's coming up is totally wrong? The answer that came to mind was Master Chief, and like there's no. What an awful, just terrible answer.
No, he will leave you alone the whole
roommate.
time because he just sleeps for like years, so that's fine, right?
I guess that's kind of it's
but
as cool as like not having
never
a roommate.
takes his helmet off. I would be disturbed by that.
I think I'm okay with that. In like previous roommate experiences, I'm the type of person who like I'll go to my own room and do my stuff, and I'll like go to the kitchen when nobody else is around. So being with a roommate who is like asleep 99% of the time, does not make eye contact, doesn't really talk to me, views me as like lower than dirt, does not care. I think that's perfect. I'm turning around on Master Chief as an answer, although it is very bad. God.
Amanda Vaughn in the chat says anybody but Ketsith, which I agree with. If for people who don't know, Ketsith is a robot cat bear person, and he was actually a spy. So if you have him as your roommate, you can actually legally turn him off, essentially murdering him. But that's fine because you're guilt-free. He's just a robot. You can just turn the robot off.
Listen. Quarantine, no rules, just right. All laws have been suspended. It's basically purge time right now, so I think it's fine if I like casually kill my roommate.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyways,
yeah.
on that happy note.
Yeah, really, I ran out of steam there at the end of that
As soon
sentence.
as
on, like,
Briana
the
leaves,
worst
all hope
possible
leaves the
note.
chat. So
Yeah.
we're just stuck in Midgar with our Mako poisoning, with our
Yeah,
thoughts and
literally.
minds. But we'll wrap up here. Elise and Mikhail, thanks so much. But most importantly, thank you, chat and viewers, for joining us for our first thing that we're doing here. We hope to have some real special guests coming soon. But please let us know who you would like to see. Our Twitter handles are on the thing right here. I'm at Gene Park, and Mikhail is Leader Grev, and Elise is Elise Favis. So please give us a tweet. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because there are a whole lot of other news that you can use from the Washington Post besides just gaming. But if you want to check out our work, including the Metaverse a piece that we talked about, and maybe a little piece from Briana, a little wrap up of what we just went through here, bookmark launcher.gg, a very easy URL to remember. And again, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.